Dragi prieteni, colegi, continuăm seria de interviuri de la GPeC Moldova și de data asta o să fie un interviu în limba engleză. Alături de mine este Ayat Shukairy, the co-founder at Investment, and today we will be talking about something not as technical as conversion rate optimization. It's something that every person in the e-commerce, every business man and woman should know how to deal with, right? So given your extensive experience in this conversion rate optimization and working with big companies such as eBay, 3M, and Dish, what do you see as the most common mistakes that happen in this specific part of e-commerce?
So I think that a lot of times I find that a lot of companies aren't aware of what's going on with the customer. There's so many different data points that they can rely on. We're actually at a time now where we can extract so much data, right? Like understand how visitors are flowing through the website. We can understand how deep they're scrolling. We can understand, there's session recordings that you can actually see what the visitor's actually doing. So parsing that data and finding actionable insights, I find a lot of sites and a lot of companies simply don't do it. They don't do enough of it, right? Or they have too much data, so they get data paralysis analysis, right? Where they're completely overwhelmed.
Too much data.
Right. So you have to know exactly what you want to look at and look at actionable insights. I don't want to look at a report just for the sake of looking at a report. If it's not going to really help me, it's not going to advance in me understanding a little bit more, then there's no need. I'm just going to really overwhelm myself with a lot of different information. So I think it's the key thing is figuring out what are those areas that matter most to what I'm doing and how am I going to analyze this and find something actionable that I can actually change for the site.
For those who still are, let's say, conservative regarding using data in their sales process, analyzing data. In my experience, a lot of clients actually think that if they make a website and they include some sort of shopping experience on it, then it will sell by itself. Mm-hmm. And they pump a lot of money into ads, and they think that ads will help them make the sale. And it turns out that the user actually gets on the website and gets lost or gets frustrated. So what would be your advice to dealing with that in the best way possible?
When we first started in 2006, this is a very long time ago that we started conversion rate optimization. We were one of the first companies that did it. A lot of people would confuse us with SEO, search engine optimization, but that's driving the traffic. But once the visitor gets there, I have a job to persuade them. And this market is very busy, right? You see like e-commerce, especially after COVID, a lot of companies that were not online realized we need to get online. And if we don't get online, we're missing out on a lot of great opportunity. So in order to distinguish yourself, you do need to make sure that you're understanding what's happening on the site, how the visitors are actually behaving. Is my brand distinct? Are my values, the value proposition that I have on the site, is it distinct enough to persuade them to move forward and to convince them that this is the product that they need? So I think it's, sure, you can put ads, but you're going to be throwing away a lot of money. Driving that traffic to the site that's not optimized and not understanding what the visitor needs are, you're going to be just throwing away a lot of money. So I would recommend that you periodically, and the thing with optimization is, and this is something that I said in my talk, was it's not like one shot. I'm going to just run a couple of A/B tests and I'm done. It is constant because your visitors are changing, technology is changing. I mean, like with AI, everything is changing so rapidly. The competition is changing, the landscape is changing, everything is changing. So in order for me to be competitive, I need to be always on my game. I need to always understand what's happening with my visitors, and I need to be adapting constantly.
So for a small business that probably spend most of their day trying to swim in this large ocean of how to keep the business alive in general, should they hire someone to take care of this? Can they externalize it to a company that does it? What would be your advice for them to do it? Because they can't spend all day trying to figure this out.
Right. I mean, again, personally, I've always felt like outsourcing some of this is great. It can help. It depends on budgets. I mean, in the end, if it's whether or not you have the budget to do it. If you can bring somebody in-house to actually focus on that, and that's their sole purpose, is constantly optimizing and understanding where the opportunities are, that would be an awesome thing. Not all companies can do that, depending on obviously the size. To begin with, though, bringing in a consultant that can at least give you an idea of where to start, that can actually be helpful.
Can you learn that from YouTube?
There's a lot of really great content out there. excellent content. Actually, like at Invest, we have a course that teaches conversion rate optimization. So there's definitely lots of really amazing content, but you just have to make sure that the people that you're selecting are actually experts within what they do, because there's a lot of junk online as well.
You actually have a book called Conversion Optimization.
Yes.
So what do you think are the absolute top principles of a high conversion rate website? What is the check marks?
So the conversion, actually the book goes through what we call the conversion framework, and there are several different elements. The first element being trust. Trust includes, of course, having a unique value proposition, making sure that you have enough social proof to help the visitor believe that you're trustworthy and reliable. Making sure there's continuity.
So
testimonials, or any type of UGC, like user-generated content, would be great. Continuity between what the ad is saying and what this website is saying, because this is like a number one thing that we've seen. A lot of times the ad is saying something and proposing some information. They get to the landing page and they don't see that information at all anymore, or it's even contradicting information to what was in the ad. So you want to make sure that there's continuity between what you have, and that enhances trust and confidence. This company knows what they're doing. This company knows, exactly what I need. This company's values are very distinct and understandable. As soon as I land on the website, I'm not confused about what they offer. A lot of times you get on the website, you're confused. What does this website do exactly? Or what are they selling exactly? So how do you make sure that you're really optimizing that message? Not saying it in a fancy way.
Would you say getting like a minimalistic design would be one of them?
Definitely. So one of the elements that we also look at is just like general heuristics. So minimalist design is actually a principle of the heuristics, and it is helpful for people not to be bombarded with so many messaging. Just give it to me, very understandable. I don't need to sell them a million different things. I just want to make sure that I clarify the message that I'm trying to tell them.
If you don't mind me asking about Amazon. So Amazon doesn't really follow minimalistic design patterns, right? It's a big, complex website. I'm sure 90% of people don't even look at all the options in the menu that you can pick. You look specifically for one thing. Would a company or a seller that's trying to establish their own website, what would be the no-dos that do not do in starting that?
Don't copy Amazon.
Except their business model.
I mean, look, they're Amazon.
Yeah.
They get away with things that another company can't. Other companies need to establish their brand. They need to tell, a consumer, you want to buy from us because of ABC, and not buy from Amazon, buy from us because of this. So you have a lot more work to do as a smaller business in order to establish the reasons why somebody should choose you and not go to like a big box company like an Amazon. So that's why, again, what they do, I always tell any of my clients, even looking at competitors, even within the same field, even if they're within the same size, copying a competitor can be detrimental, because what your visitors are experiencing and what your visitors know about your brand is different than them. So don't just copy blindly. Make sure that it makes sense, this element and test it. Make sure it works for your visitors, because it might not.
I think that Americans have that us here we have a little lack of, is when a consumer is trying to purchase something, you don't see it as a purchase. My wife says, she's American, she says, I choose to invest into this company. I believe that, Target. I like to go to Target, and I like the buying experience from there rather than going to Walmart, for example. So how do you think we could help develop this mindset in Moldova, which is a developing economy, right? Where the consumer would choose not to purchase something because it's cheaper or because they like how it looks like, but because they understand the meaning of helping a specific business grow.
Yeah, so this is actually in the US as well. A lot of people are tending to go with smaller businesses because they like the fact that they're local. They like the fact that they have a story, So I don't know if it's the same way in Moldova, definitely, but mentioning that, that we're local. This is Moldova. You're helping your own economy. You're helping your own country. I think that can be really meaningful. A lot of people will only buy from companies that are U.S. based and that are, manufacturing within the U.S. So, similarly here in Moldova, if that's the case, a lot of times maybe that could be actually something that can incentivize people. Let them know that this information so they feel like, oh, I'm proud of my country.
Or if they have like a social element to it, right?
Yes,
like,
definitely social
1%
media.
1% of it is donated to whatever.
Exactly. So sometimes they can, of course, establish something like that. But I think also focusing on the products and adding the details that people want about the product is super important. If you're just putting on like a very generic content on each product page, you're not going to be really doing a good job convincing them that this is the right brand for you. So, people sometimes just want to do something very easy, but when it comes to those products, this is your small business. You want to make sure that you're adding a lot of information, a lot of details, really persuade them with that copy. You'd be surprised how many people, they go through it, they read it, it's important to them.
And last question, I know it's really relevant in your case. How does AI, tools like ChatGPT or even Midjourney or DALL-E, how do they contribute to conversion optimization?
So, it's been exciting for us because we've been utilizing it in our company. A lot of times with copy, the amount of information,
it's like
exactly, it's like this. Also, the way that it's producing the content is very unique, right? And it's persuasive, and so it's things that you may have not thought of yourself that could be really helpful. So we're excited about utilizing it in that way, but also even from the perspective of A/B testing and figuring out how do I input these pieces of data in order for me to understand what should I test next. So we're still experimenting with that. We're not there yet, but I think there's something that we can learn from there. Additionally, like for example, somebody within our company recently utilized AI for trying to get those actionable insights from interviews that we conduct with customers, and the results were just absolutely amazing. So again, as long as you know what the inputs are, you can actually produce some really, really great information, and then it'll give you ideas of what can I test based on this information that I've actually just extracted.
Thank you so much for your time, for coming to this interview, and for coming to Moldova to show us and explain to us how important this conversion optimization is, and sharing your American experience with us.
Thank you. I appreciate it, and good luck in Moldova. This is an exciting time.
Thank you.
Thank you.